Our final writer plays the ukulele with a moderate degree of success, and since childhood has evolved from writing stories about unicorns. Please welcome Elissa Barnett.
Hello. First and foremost, I'd like to thank you all for being here tonight. Mental illness has colored my experiences, and it has colored the generational experiences of my family and countless others for longer than I have been alive. My piece, Weathering, is interested in the personal struggles that define those experiences. The scene I'm reading tonight follows a character, she, into the depths of one of those struggles. It starts slowly. The morning is all right. She finds enough to entertain herself with. She reorganizes their bedroom, which has a mattress now, not just sleeping bags. She washes all of the dishes, even though most of them are already clean. She cleans the countertops and sweeps the floor. She reorders the books on the shelf. She puts music on and listens to it until she can't hear anymore. The afternoon is harder. Her feet start to drag, and she slowly realizes that she has less and less to do. By the time evening finally comes, the sun starting to think about sinking below the trees, she's shifted to moving in double time, her arms and legs jerky, fingers fidgeting endlessly with the edge of the kitchen counter. When did she get to the kitchen? She doesn't remember. Wasn't she in the bedroom? Wasn't she refolding all of his clothes until the corners were perfect and square? When did she get here? Did he notice her moving? He's not here. He's not here. She's alone. She's just as alone as she's ever been, isn't she? Distantly, something is telling her no, he's just in town. He hasn't left. You're not alone. No, that doesn't matter, she tells it. He was there before too. That doesn't mean I'm not alone. She's alone, and she's scared, and no, this is why they left. She can't let this win again, but how is she supposed to stick it out? She's so weak. No wonder he left. No wonder everyone always leaves. She collapses to the floor like her strings have been cut, curling up on herself and just shuddering, breathing too fast and yet not breathing enough. She has half a desperate thought to try and find something, anything that's sharp enough to soothe her, but she finds she doesn't have the energy for even that. She just lays there and heaves enormous dry sobs and shakes, while a million bad memories rush over her all at once, things she can push back when the lights are on and she's not alone. The lights are off, just sunlight weak through the window, and there's no one here but her. She's more alone than she has been in years. The first time she met him, they were 13, and she was short and gangly and wearing too much eyeliner. And he was quiet, serious, shining so brightly that he hurt her eyes. He still hurts her eyes sometimes. She remembers the day he found her, the day well, something must have happened, but it doesn't quite bear repeating, because saying it, even to herself, even in the privacy of her own mind, makes it something that's too real to forget. She doesn't want to go down that road again. She doesn't, because every bite she makes into her own skin is a bite into his too. Because of course he was the one who kicked down the bathroom door and screamed himself hoarse. It couldn't have been anyone else. She'd never seen him cry before. Now she can't count the number of times she's seen him cry, and always, always for her. It makes her sick to her stomach a little bit. Shame and guilt at the thought of taking someone like him and dashing him on the pavement and dragging him through the mud. But he found her, and he hasn't stopped finding her. She keeps trying to hide anyway. He's asked her about it so many times, and she never has any idea what to tell him. The words don't seem to fit right in her mouth. They're too big and too small all at once. Everything is too dramatic, but at the same time, nothing could ever be real enough to make him understand. So he understands as best he can on his own. They're both trying. If she has to try any more, she thinks, she might not make it. Oh God, she wants to vomit. Her stomach is empty, but it's seizing violently anyway, too strong to ignore. But she can't get up. She can't make herself do it. There's no way she could make it to the bathroom anyway, and even if she could, she shouldn't. It's not the same bathroom, but this one still reminds her of blood on the linoleum floor and too much clogging up the drain until she can't breathe. She can't go back there. She can't. When he finds her, she's on her side, motionless. All her screaming is done, and her eyes are squeezed tightly shut, and there's empty stomach bile on the floor, and she's torn a chunk of her hair out, apparently, because it's there on the ground, but she doesn't even remember doing that. Really, she doesn't remember anything. Really, she's forgetting as hard as she can. Oh, he sighs. And that's it. He's lying right down on the floor with her. He's getting puke on his shirt, a new shirt, and he loves it, and they both know that he doesn't care. Maybe he's never cared less about anything in his entire life. Maybe it's that, or maybe it's just the way he wraps his arms around her, but suddenly she's sobbing, like a child, scared and alone and being held tight and safe, and it's all jumbled up together and she can't hold any of it back. "Thank you," she hears him say softly, muffled into her shoulder. "Thank you for being here. Thank you for not going back there," and he doesn't have to tell her that he's talking about the bathroom and he isn't, all at once, and she cries and cries and cries. They lay there until she stops crying, and then after that too, just warming an imprint on the floor. He waits for her to speak or to make the first move, and she doesn't, because she can't, but he keeps waiting anyway. She falls asleep, half in her own bile, and all the way in the warm pull of his gravity, and she doesn't dream, not even for the sake of having nightmares. They stay like that until morning, and for once, she sleeps through the night, and for once, he's the one who stares at the ceiling and never quite manages to close his eyes. Thank you.